going into Richard's talk now, I think very closely linked. You've been talking about affordability and people struggling to pay their rent. Well, I think we're going to be, those people are going to be really hammered in the next few months with energy bills as well, with the way they're going, which is obviously not going to help at all. So, Richard, what are you planning to do about trying to help on that side?
Well, thank you very much. And Alan, thank you very much indeed. That was really very, very stimulating and very thought-provoking. Anyway, I want to offer something tangible that we can do to help both with the planet in a tiny way, to help fight global warming, and also to help people who are on very low incomes. We can become energy advisors. This is something that arose out of Zero Carbon North Somerset a long time ago, and is very, very slowly percolating through because of COVID. But there is an opportunity for us to become energy advisors and to facilitate the uptake of energy conservation by those that need it most. And I am aware that the people I'm talking to here are already right up to your ears in activity. So I'm not actually asking anyone here necessarily to join in energy advisors, but I hope that you will maybe be able to push some friends along in our direction. To start with some facts, space heating accounts for 30%, 30% of UK CO2 emissions, roughly. All these figures are very wide. North Somerset lies midway in the range between the very poorly insulated and the very best insulated districts. So that's, but what that means that we've got some pretty badly insulated housing. Of the 97,000 households that are in North Somerset, about 12% are suffering in fuel poverty. So that's 11,000 households in North Somerset who are in fuel poverty. And 76% of the people in fuel poverty live in dwellings rated EPC E, F, and G. And of course, as everyone knows, E is just minimally acceptable and F and G are not acceptable. So that's around about 9,000 households who are in dire need of help. So this is a bit daunting because there are two approved energy efficiency corporations, companies in North Somerset who are approved. A bunch of other smaller people who are not approved, maybe, but really there's a lot of work to do here. And interestingly, 82% of people who are in fuel poverty are in houses, not in flats. Some of them even own their own houses, or are renting it, but they're not all in flats. Now, there are a bewildering number, i.e. 5 different routes of government schemes to support energy conservation. The best known is the Eco Energy Company Obligation Scheme to help low-income families. This is down to the company that supplies the fuel to them. And it's a rather odd situation of privatization that the company is actually supposed to be helping people not to buy so much of their product. But this is the world we live in. There's something called Warm Homes Advice and Money, WHAM, which provides, as the name suggests, advice and money. There is the Local Authority Delivery, LAD 1 and LAD 2, which Bridget and our councillors will know all about, or might know about. There's something called Power Up, and there is Home Energy and Renewables Loan. Now, that's all I know about these things because I'm not yet trained up. But there is, as you can see, there is complexity to be negotiated. And the problem is that there is some consumer resistance to home warming. People have difficulty knowing how to apply and may well need help filling out the forms. Not necessarily that they're illiterate totally, but I myself have a problem with filling out forms, and there is an emotional thing that kicks in, and it's very helpful to have someone who is not involved in filling out the form to help fill it out. People may need emotional support to help them to face up to the idea of having an energy surveyor clumping around their house, and even more to having workmen clumping around in their loft or drilling holes in the walls. These are all emotional hurdles to be overcome. And this is where the Home Energy Advice volunteers would come in. We would become what is technically known as hand holders. We will metaphorically hold the hands of those people who are living in fuel poverty and encourage them and support them to make applications to go through with the process. So far, we have 8 volunteers in our group, and I'm delighted to say and proud to say that although it arose in Zero Carbon North Somerset, nearly all but 2 of the volunteers are Green Party members, and I think we can all feel a little warm glow of satisfaction that the Green Party is are people who want to get and do something as well as just talk. We've already had an introductory chat from someone from the Centre of Sustainable Energy, which just sort of was talking about generalities behind what he does and so on. And the CSE, the Centre for Sustainable Energy, will be sending the clients to us. They are now going to, the next step is they're going to organize a training day for us in, we hope, November. Anyone is invited to, welcome to attend, cost-free for the training day, and there will be no obligation. You just go and get an education about energy conservation, which will be good anyway. We're also planning to have a social team building get together at Karen Haverson's lovely house on October the 27th, Wednesday, October the 27th, 7:30 in the evening. And again, anyone is welcome to join us. So there you are, a brief introduction. I very much hope that people will pass it round, and if you have any friends, relatives, or neighbours who might want to put themselves forward as volunteers, put them in touch with me. Thank you. That's all.
Thanks, Richard. Any questions for Richard?
Johnny.
Yes, me, Johnny. Am I on?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I feel like something like weird. Anyway, there are too many tangents, and I'm trying to bring them together. So the Centre for Sustainable Energy. I'm not going to ask who gave the presentation and stuff, because it doesn't matter. But I would very much like to be invited. Please link me in, so that I don't have to contact them and go, "Oi, who did this?" From that, I wonder what we all think about Dale Vince's idea. And I know this is slightly off topic. Dale Vince's idea of lessening the amount of meat we eat, returning the fields to grass and using the grass to produce electricity. At the same time, there are ideas out there for growing hemp, which is massively more productive on providing biofuel than grasses. There are other tangents from this because it's all
Well,
linked.
let's
but
just do.
I'm going to give you that.
We'll just do the one tangent, if I may. It is a tangent, Johnny, but it's a lovely tangent, and I'm going to chase after it. I'm with Ecotricity myself. I worship James Vincent, say prayers to him every night, and I think he's great. I know George Monbiot has criticised him for, but let's see it. Let him develop grass, and I have 9 bales of scythe cut hay, which I would dearly love to take to Reading if I'm going by, and pop into his anaerobic digester, because I'm a big fan of it. But seriously, I think biomass is the way to go. I did a quick calculation, and it's going to be very difficult to get there just from sewage. It's a tiny percentage. But I think if we really work at it, that we can generate significant amounts of gas from our sewage, from waste food, although we shouldn't be wasting food, but it does get wasted, from the green waste. Now, this is something, Bridget, I would like to discuss. I'd like to look at all of the waste, and we've got a digester, I believe, in Western, and I think we ought to look hard and see if we can really work at getting all the energy that arises out of all our green waste. So, rather rambling answer to a rather rambling question, but it's a good question.
Bridget,
On a closing of that, sorry, whoever's speaking now, Bridget, I think. Sorry, Bridget. I would love.
No, Johnny, we're moving on.
No, hang on. I would love, Richard, to have a meeting with you, me, Bridget, and sorry, Colin, because you're not here, Colin Russell, and we can talk about that.
It's interesting. I think that, because I think that food waste behaves, and I feel like this is the tangent. I do think that food waste obviously breaks down in a different way it's why we don't put the branches and the leaves solely in our compost, because it doesn't break down. So it's about the microbes that they're adding, isn't it? But I did get a tour of actually Johnny and I both went on the tour of the food waste anaerobic digester. It was great. We both also went up to Bristol Waters. I mean, yeah, interesting that biogas isn't used more. And it really does, like, if we can find a cleaner gas, it does change that difficult conversation around boilers so significantly, because I think I've spent the past 2 years sitting there going, how will we help every household get rid of its boiler, get rid of its radiators, put in underfloor? It just is like, and I was on a meeting earlier, so I've encouraged North Somerset to join the UK 100, which is a collection of councils across the country coming together to share work on responding to the climate emergency, but also to work up lobbying power, so that you go with a stronger voice. It's not it does a different job to the LGA, and it is around climate work, and it's cross-party, which I think is helpful. Well, they then formed a subgroup, which was Countryside Network. So within the UK 100, it started as like UK cities, and now I'm on and I actually really only wanted to join when we became a Countryside Network, because that way you're talking about, it's just, for me, like talking about transport, it's more helpful to talk about our rural transport challenges, rather than when the cities kind of go smug, we can do this, and I'm like, that's not what I'm looking at. And so it's the same with some of our retrofitting challenges, and people talking about many houses being on oil still. My question was, one, so far, are you thinking, with your stats, do you know if park homes were in there? And so park homes, obviously, like, they are badly insulated, and I have no idea how to, it's a caravan plus. And I thought that was I think it's quite an interesting, complex thing. And what was my second thing? It was to do with CSE. CSE, so they had a future-proof project, and I think that part of what you'll be involved with and leading into is what I really liked about the future-proof project, where I got them involved with my property, was they encourage you to find things that you could do that were low cost but would be effective, like that you could do on the weekend, you know, so the kind of brushes on the bottom of a door, or because many households, like you say, the whole hand holding, they aren't ready to have every window changed right now, but there are things they could be doing today to reduce their energy prices. So I think I think CSE is a good organisation, and it's good to be with. On this call this afternoon, also what came out was I said, you know it's not, is that green open homes, and Rachel Coxcomb was on the call. She's very good at what she does. She used to be with CSE, and she's elected member in the Cotswolds, and she said she'd been one of the founder people, and it had a really good response rate, that people who could afford to pay, which of course a different set, went to someone else's house, saw that house was a bit like theirs with the books on the shelves, and similarities, that then it did prompt them to go home and make those changes as well. So the touching and feeling makes a difference. I know my final thing was, sorry, Richard, if you could write, I know we've got our Slack channels, if you could write a little, like a Slack post about, we're looking for volunteers and we've got the social on this date and we're going to have a training day, like, so kind of that short pitch, then I could share it on some WhatsApp groups, because I kind of got a green gang in Backwell that I think I could share it with.
And amazingly, if you could share it on other things other than WhatsApp and Slack that I don't do, I might find out about it.
You're still not doing Slack, Johnny?
No. Well,
all right, and then
I don't do it. And
that will prompt us to put it on Facebook. If you write it that way, then we can share it on Facebook.
Okay. Are there any other questions or points? Otherwise, we'll wind up.
Oh, we can make him up.
Let me just say, following Johnny's tangent, in fact, I just want to share that I went down to a farm with the farmers, and to a place on the Somerset levels, where there is a place, they've got a load of reeds, and they've got a reed cutter that they drain the field, and they cut all the reeds, and they chop the reeds into about 2-inch bits and pop them into an anaerobic digester and feed the gas into the grid. So I just thought I would throw that in. It's something that's on our doorstep, even though it's in actual Somerset rather than North Somerset, and it's happening, and it's something that we really can pursue. And Bridget, you mentioned something about yes, vegetation and woody stuff and leaves cannot go into the anaerobic digester, but there is such a thing as wood gas, which turns, you burn the wood in a certain way and you will produce hydrogen and, sadly, but carbon monoxide, but that could in fact be again fed into, it is a gas that can be fed into the gas grid, although the carbon monoxide is a bit dodgy. But there you are. It's all happening. These are things which we've been dreaming about for decades, and they're actually being produced now.
But biogas kind of, but I think they've been going a while. They fell out of favour, but also the pellet boilers. What does that get called? CHP? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But did they fall out of favour because the energy prices were stable or low? Last 4, 5, 6 years have been relatively benign on energy price. As soon as that changes, if we are in for a major shock now that's going to last more than a few months, there will suddenly be much more interest in hence that email I sent you, Bridget, about the other issue, which I won't raise. Hope you got that. But you know, a lot of people and low carbon Godino, you know, haven't been able to get any projects going because the money hasn't been there. If the energy price stays high, there'll be a lot more things we can do with renewables.
Surely,
Which isn't a great help because a lot of people will still struggle to pay. But yeah. Sorry, Johnny.
That's all right. Surely, David. Okay, so the things that are in favour are profitable. The things that are in favour are those that someone is going, yeah, I can do this easily and make a ching out of it. But that's not the way we need to develop our planet. We need to develop our planet on realising what actually has the least impact on our planet.
Yep.
And things need to change totally.
Yep.
So I
think we agreed with that, but changing the whole financial system is going to probably take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I absolutely is. But what we need to do in our conversations is change our conversation. And I'm not criticizing anybody in any way whatsoever, because otherwise I'd be shot down the drain. Because the research...
Because we're all perfect, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. The research is necessary to find out actually if we grow hemp and we can produce hydrogen or whatever we produce, because I go, even when I said hydrogen, I go, that's probably the wrong word and the wrong thing. But we can produce energy from those things, which are costing our planet less. But they aren't profitable to the corporates. We need to focus on this, because in extending that conversation, we change what is Russell Brand's favorite word, the parable. It's not that, but
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else? If not, we'll close it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Richard.
Yep.
Thank you,
thank you,
Alan.
everyone.